and welcome to episode 11 of the Albanach Knitter podcast. My name is Andrew and I live here on the Isle of Arran off the west coast of Scotland, where I live and work and knit, of course, and it's great to be coming to you today. Today is my 1 year podiversary as I sit and record this for you. Can't quite believe it's been a whole year. I mean, where has that time gone? So many things knitted, so many things unknitted, and some good fun along the way. It's great to have you with us today. Well, today I want to share with you some recent work that I've been doing on the old knitting front. I've got a finished object and two objects that are still in progress. We'll do a quick recap of this last year, of some of the places I've taken you to over the last year. The weather at the moment is absolutely terrible. It's just started to snow, I think. So there's no out and about fresh today. So you have to put up with a few visits that we've had throughout the year, but just good to celebrate a year of podcasting here on YouTube. I've also got some news for you about a Lent Knitalong that I've been sort of involved in. More about that later. And then to celebrate a year, there'll be some news of a giveaway a little bit later on. But now, let's get on with it. Now, I should say right at the offset that if you hear any strange scraping and moving and cluttering and clumpering and all sorts of things around me, it's because, again, tortoise over there, Labrador puppy over there. So just to warn you, in case you can hear anything in the background. It's been a strange start to the new year for me because I spent the first week of the new year down in Wales. My mother-in-law currently lives down in Swansea, in South Wales, and she is currently preparing to move up to the Isle of Arran to be near us here in Lamlash. So we've been down there sorting. So it feels like my new year has got off to a little bit of a slow start. However, there still has been some time to get some knitting done. In fact, other than packing and sorting and all that sort of thing, knitting's the only other thing that I've had time to do apart from the obligatory work things that I've had to do in these first few days of the year. But I'm proud to say I do have my first beanie of the year. It's not a knitting year for me unless there's a beanie. Again, just the pattern that I've been using for ages. You've probably all seen it if you're a returning viewer here. It's the same pattern that we used for the beanie along last year, and this will be the first of many. I am planning to do a beanie along at some point this year, and the pattern's there. And so I knit those for things like travelling. If I'm travelling on a train or a ferry or whatever, or sitting, at knit club, I need to have something that I can concentrate on the conversation and knit away at the same time. So I usually have something on the go, either a beanie like that or some socks. So I've managed to get my first beanie of the year completed. Now I did start it before the Christmas period, but I finished it this year, so that's good, isn't it? And so that's the only thing that I can even pretend to be even anything like a finished object. Not very spectacular, but that's mainly because, as long-term viewers will know, I'm still plodding away on my dustling sweater. Now, I did say last time, when I had a little bit of an extra stitch in between Christmas and New Year, where I reviewed all my knits for 2023, I did say that I wasn't going to show you the dustling because you must be fed up of it. But, as is often the case when it comes to podcasts, you get down there into the comments and you say, no, actually, we want to see it. So who am I to argue? Especially when it represents pretty much a good chunk of the work that I've done. And of course, we'll say no more about the mini Nordic Advent sweaters. I've done my 4. They're now gone. They're packed away with all the Christmas decorations. And that has meant that I've been able to get on with a little bit of work on the dustling sweater. Now, I started this, or it was at least last July. And I'm absolutely determined that it's going to be finished very soon. But I have made some good progress, as you can see. Now, it's all still quite wrinkly because it's still on the needles there, you can see dangling off the end. But as you can see, the yoke is complete. and I've split off for the arms, and I've done a good little bit on the body there, almost 2 full cycles of the pattern repeat. So it starts off, obviously you've got the collar, and then you've got a diagonal rib, then a section of moss stitch, then a broken rib with these little sort of bars here, and then you just keep doing the same and the same and the same and the same. Now the light is absolutely terrible here because we pretty much have no decent light outside. It's the middle of winter, it's still dark really early. This is the back side. You can see there, up around the collar, the extra rose that gives height to the back, the sort of short rose. Now there is something quite unique about how Stephen West suggests that you do the short rose. Don't ask me what that is right now because I've slept. I've slept since I did those, so I have no idea. Can't remember. But have a look at the pattern. It's still available out there. So I'm really pleased with how this is looking. I'm getting to the stage with it now where when I pick it up, once I've assessed where I am in the whole scheme of things, I can pretty much get on with that. So I've got about that much. I've got a head's worth left of the body to do before getting into some ribbing, and then of course it's back up to pick on the stitches that have been cast off for the sleeves, and then sleeve forever, and then usually by the time I'm guessing by the time that the warm spring or summer weather comes in, that's when I'll have completed my Dustland sweater, and I won't want to wear it for at least a few months. But anyway, the Dustland is in actual progress, and in case you don't know, I'm knitting it on this Sirdar Country Classic wool. It's 50% wool and 50% acrylic. It's quite a nice wool. It's nice, quite nice and soft. It knits really well, and with this project, it really has a good stitch definition, and of course the wool content really helps with that. Now, as I've said before, probably, I do understand the whole thing about preferring natural fibres, and I totally get that, and I personally do prefer that, but for things like, big sweaters and big projects, I'm not flush with cash. So the wool's nice enough, so I thought that would be a good solution. As well as that, knowing what I'm like with actually washing and processing all my woolly things, if it's got a bit of acrylic in it and it's able to sort of be washed at a low thing in the washing machine, it's more chance of getting a life, and there's more chance that I'll actually wear it. So I'm hoping when it's done, certainly when it comes to next autumn, it'll be something of a regular staple in my exquisite wardrobe. I mean, if you've been watching my podcast for the last year, you'll know that I'm pretty much wearing the same thing. I wear the same shirt, not the exact same shirt. I have several of these, and these. This is my sort of. This is what I live in. This is what it normally looks like for me. But I'm looking forward to adding some extra hand knit goodies to my wardrobe very soon. So that's the Dustland. There you go. It's making progress. There's more updates and progress on that on a regular basis over on Instagram. And if you do want to follow me on Instagram, I'll put my little, what do you call it, my Instagram handle, is that what they call them these days? No idea, but it's along here anyway, and you can go over and find us over there on Instagram, and that's a good little place for lots of photo chat and conversation as things go on. Also, as well as continuing work on my Dustland sweater, I decided I needed to have something else that would give me some interest, because as much as the Dustland sweater's all good fun and all that sort of stuff, I find it pretty monotonous, to be knitting on something like a sweater, especially a sweater that's for the size of someone like me. It feels like you're there for absolutely years, and so I've had lots of other little projects on the way to help me keep going. However, I'm also aware that I wanted to knit Mrs. Clark a sweater. She hasn't had her sweater turn yet in the family. I've knitted something for Lucy, which I'll show you here. And you may remember last spring, I finished a sweater for my daughter Katie, and that was a whole palaver as well. It took me forever as well, but I'm really pleased with it. And so it's Mrs. Clark's turn. And for a long while, as well as wanting to knit Mrs. Clark something, I've also wanted to knit something by Jessica McDonald. And I recently went on and bought one of our recent pattern books, which I'll show you here. It's full of lovely colour work patterns, which I just think they're simple, but they're really beautiful. I love the way that she's able to design these garments, and they just look fantastic and really appeal to me in terms of the style and the way that Jessica makes these designs up. So I've decided that I'm going to knit one for Mrs. Clark. And the jumper that I've decided on from that pattern book is this one here. I hope you can see that. And excuse the high-tech technology here. This is called Red Cedar, and as you can see, it's got a lovely colour work yoke, and then it's been modelled for us by Jessica McDonald herself. And so I made a start on that. One of the things I wanted to do when I was down in Wales was to go and visit the lovely Laura at the Wool Coot. She has a lovely little wool shop in the Carmarthen Market down there in South Wales. And I wanted to go and get some wool to start knitting the Red Cedar sweater for Mrs. Clark. And so when I was there, I picked up some of this. Now I think you pronounce it Kuani or Kuani. It's I think it's a Danish yarn, and it's a sort of sporting weight type equivalent. That's what the pattern calls for, a sporting weight type equivalent, which I think is pretty similar to the kind of jumper weight Jameson and Smith wool, which I was also tempted to get for this project. However, when I went down into Laura's shop, the Wool Cooch, and saw this on her shelf, I had a feel at it and thought, actually, in terms of thickness and texture and all the recommended bits and bobs, this is the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. It comes in balls, as you see, of 150 grams. You get 400 meters to 100 grams. So I knew that 4 of these was going to be just what I needed for the main bodywork of that sweater. And it just so happened that in my goodie bag downstairs in my office, last October, when I went on my Northumberland retreat, on the way back, I went to the Yarn Cake, little yarn shop in Glasgow on the way home, and I bought some Jameson and Smith. Now, you won't get the colour of these necessarily very good, but you can see here there's this sort of coppery, browny red and this lovely sort of forest green. And that is just the colours that was being called for on this pattern for the Red Cedar sweater. So I'm combining the grey Kuani with the sort of coppery, reddy brown and the sort of foresty green for the sweater. And those met the approval of Mrs. Clark. Now, I haven't long cast it on, but I want to show you some progress. There we go. Now it's obviously still in the needle, so it's all a bit bunched up there. I'll show you the back side because that's a bit easier to see. As you can see, I've done the collar. Now again, I was learning from the very start here because the pattern calls for a German twisted cast on, I think it was called, German twisted cast on, which is a whole it's a sort of variation on the long tail cast on. You just do an extra little move to give you a little bit more flexibility. I think that's the idea around the collar. So that was a new learning point for me. And then, as I say, it's straight into the colour work. As well as that, it has some German, what do you call them again? German short rows? Yes, German short rows. I wasn't sure if I knew how to do that. But when I, duly looked it up on YouTube, I remembered that I had done the German short rows process with the Jingles Bell sweater that I knitted last year for the son of a friend of ours. which I'll show you here. You probably remember it. It was one of the first things I was showing you on episode 1 this time last year. So I remembered that process, so managed to get those short rows done in the back, and then just starting away on the colour work, which is coming up beautifully. And what I'm really pleased about so far is that the grey Kuani yarn and the Jameson and Smith are really, really working well together. So I'm as pleased as punch as far as that's concerned. So, you know, I've learnt a new cast on thingy. I've picked up the skill of doing the German short rows again, and going head on for it. So that's the knitting progress so far this year. A completed hat, some work on the Dustin sweater, which keeps on going, and then a new beginning to the red cedar. Now, at this rate, the red cedar's going okay, as I say. I've got a suspicion, though, that things may come to a little bit of a grind, potentially, because after the lovely detail of the yoke colour work, the rest of the sweater is actually plain. But this is not necessarily terrible because, as I say, I have managed to find myself a little knitting group on a Wednesday afternoon, just for a couple of hours. So in the middle of, you know, Wednesday's a crazy day. It's not the best day for me, but I drag myself off to the craft shop and take some knitting. I think that if I can press on and get the colour work done, it means that I should be able to get to the stage where I'm sort of separating for the arms, or whatever it is you do when you do some stitches and things for the arms. And I think that I will be very content to be knitting stockinette stitch in the round ad infinitum during knitting group. So I think that might be okay. If it wasn't for that, I think it'd be quite boring. But of course, I've got the Dustin. So there you go. I think I've got the perfect combination of stuff to be working on during the rest of Scottish winter before we get any signs of spring. But as I say, because of the weather, because I've been away, there's no extra out and about this year. But I thought it'd be lovely just to put in a little segment to jog your memory of some of the places and some of the things that I've been up to here on the podcast over this last year. Let's cast our mind back and remember the year that was. Well, there we go. Wasn't that a hoot? All those lovely places, and a year of knitting to celebrate with you folks, and it's been great to share some of my knitting adventures, some of my life here in Arran, and various bits and pieces of life news and update and everything else. And I'm sure there'll be more of that drivel coming up in 2024. It seems like the pattern I've settled into just about for the podcast here is I do roughly one main episode like this per month, which is usually a little bit longer, between sort of 45, 50 minutes. And that usually includes knitting updates as well as some trips out and about here and there. And then I usually sort of supplement that with what I call my extra stitch episodes. And that's basically just me sitting down with my knitting, a little bit of knitting chat, a little bit of life update, and just to connect, because a month's a long time to go in between. And I usually find that I can crank out a main episode around about once a month. And I can just squeeze in those little sit-in chats, those extra stitch episodes in between. And then, of course, I had my 4 half-hour videos or thereabouts during the run-up to Christmas. And that was good fun. But I know not everyone likes what do you call those things? A vlogmas. And it wasn't anything near a vlogmas. Couldn't do it every day, but managed to get 4 in. So there you go. That's what it looked like. And I guess I'll manage to try and keep that pattern through the rest of the year, all being well. 1 main episode a month, and then 1 extra stitch per month, as and when I can. What I also plan to do at some point earlier in the year is to do another live Q&A. I really enjoy. I've done 2 of those, and I really enjoy both of them. What I really enjoy is the live interaction, because at the end of the day, for all of us podcasters sitting here just talking to our cameras, with the noise of the tortoise and the dog in the background. That's it. That's all we get. There's no feedback until the comments start coming in. So it's really good to sit down live on YouTube and answer questions and have a chat with you as we go. So I'm hoping that within the next couple of months, I'll get one of those in. Normally I'd be able to get that straight into the diary, but as I say, still in the process of getting my mother-in-law moved from South Wales up to the Isle of Arran, which is no small feat. So once we're clear of that, I should be able to get a date in the diary for a live Q&A, and it'd be good to chat to you in that way. Now, seeing as it is the 1-year anniversary of this little podcast here on YouTube, or whatever you call it, video channel, vlog, podcast, knitting podcast, the jury's out on that, isn't it? I thought it would just right that we have some sort of celebration. But what I'm going to do is there will be a little celebration gift to you for the lucky winner. And all you have to do to enter the 1-year anniversary 11,000 subscriber celebration is to just put your comment down there in the comments. Just comment on this video, click a like. Maybe you can even share it with your friends, although you don't have to do that to enter into the giveaway. Just click a like and put a comment down there in the bottom, and you'll be eligible to enter into the anniversary giveaway. Now, at the moment, it's a mystery anniversary giveaway because I haven't been able to be out and about anywhere to get something nice. But honestly, there will be a nice gift. Recognising there's folks all the way around the world, so it may well be that the easiest thing to do is to send you a lovely gift voucher for a lovely yarn stop wherever it is you are. There'll also be some physical gifts that I can send out in the post as well. So as my thank you to you, a giveaway. Just stick your comment down there in the comments of this video, and then some point in February we will have a close off date, and I will draw the winner for that. I'll let you know on the community posts at YouTube when the cut off for that will be, because I haven't thought about it so far. I might even put it in the comments of this video when I've had a chance to think about it. Okay, so you there? It'd be good to just express thanks to at least 1 or 2 of you as part of the giveaway. So, thank you for watching this year. It's been great. Of course, one of the wonderful things about being a knitter on YouTube is the way that you get to be a part of the yarning community in lots of different ways. And through one of the connections with my friend Meg, who you've heard me speak about 1,000 million times, who has her No Frills knitting yarn shop down in Bristol and online. She has a connection down there with a group of folks who are part of the Victoria Methodist Church as part of the Bristol Methodist circuit. And for the last few years, they have been running Lent Knitalongs and also some Advent Knitalongs. So through a connection with Meg down there in Bristol in the wool shop, and through the folks who organise the Lent and Advent Knitalongs, I've been involved in the project just a little bit this year. What happens with this Knitalong for Lent, which starts on the 14th of February this year, is that every single week they send out an email with instructions for the mystery pattern. It's usually some sort of pattern with some sort of Christian theme. It's a fairly low entry skill level. All you have to be able to do is know how to cast on, to knit and to purl, and then there's a design that's built into a garment, like a scarf or a whatever. This year it's a small blanket or a prayer shawl. The project is, but the exact design is still a mystery. So they send out, as I say, instructions for the knitting pattern, but they also send out devotions for each day during Lent. And so I was involved this year. I've written the first, I think, 4 or 5 days of the reflections to start off the whole project. So from Ash Wednesday, the 14th of February, through to the Saturday of that same week, there's 4 reflections from me to start off that Knitalong. And if you want to be a part of that, there is a Facebook group that I'll put along here and also down in the comments. There's also an email address that you can send off to be on the mailing list to receive the Lent Knitalong. It's a completely free thing. You can sign up for free for this, and the email will be down there as well. And I hope that will be something that you might want to get involved in. I'm not sure that my involvement with it this year will actually fully extend to actually knitting the thing, because say really busy at the moment, all sorts of things. But you never know, I may well do. So if you want to be involved in the Lent Knitalong, all the details are downstairs in the description box. Suffice to say, we're almost coming to the end of this shorter episode. However, I just want to highlight again that we have the SANNOX Stitches Retreat coming up again in March. We still have some space on that. And then again in September, here on the Isle of Arran, up at SANNOX Christian Centre, where I am I'm the ministry team leader and centre and ministry team leader or something like that, which basically means I manage the place and do some of the content and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to come and join us, here as the details. Again, details down in the comments. It'd be lovely to meet some of you. And I know that some of you have been making plans to come over to the Isle of Arran and to visit. You'd be very welcome to pop into SANNOX or to meet up for a coffee. Don't be shy. It'd be lovely to see you whilst you're over. So, Lent Knitalong and SANNOX Stitches Retreats coming up this year. We've still got some space, but we won't always have the space, so get in there if you're hoping to come along. Of course, I've been able to try and catch up with some of the podcasts and other channels that I watch, and that's all very interesting. And it's been great to see so many folks. What I knit in 2023, I did a little one of those myself on New Year's Eve, just sort of casting an eye back over what I'd managed to knit and show you during 2023. And now lots of people are starting to think about what they're going to knit in 2024. And I guess I'm kind of in that place because I've started the Red Cedar jumper since the beginning of the year, and that's certainly one of my aims for this year. I also want to make sure that I can keep my beanies going, so very shortly I'll be putting another beanie on the needles, and I also want to get another pair of socks on the needles, mainly because I know that in the next little while I'm going to have a bit of travelling by train and stuff like that, long journeys by train, so I'll need to have something that I can take with me that's portable and fairly easy. But also, I've been giving myself a talking to because I recognise, certainly the last part of the year, that I was too busy for my own good. So I've decided that what I'm going to do each evening at 10 p.m, no matter what, I'm going to put down the work and pick up the knitting whilst I'm having my cup of tea before bed and catching up with a little bit of YouTube, because I definitely need to build into the day just some time for mindless relaxation and obviously to keep my knitting up. I've said so many times before that my knitting keeps me grounded and keeps my hands busy. It's just great to be doing something physical with a product at the end, especially when a lot of my work is all up here and all coming out of here. It's just good to have something to work on with my hands and to say, actually, well, there's something physical that I've managed to produce this year. So that should create some knitting time. I don't at this moment have a huge amount of aspirations. However, every time I go back to that booklet by Jessica McDonald, I keep thinking to myself, I actually just want to knit the whole book. I just love her designs so much. So if you haven't seen any of her stuff, do go and check her out. She does have a website. She also has a YouTube channel. She's a YouTuber as well, which I'll link here and down in the description. And she does, as well as showing off her new patterns, she does some lovely tutorials that goes along with some of her techniques there. So do go and have a look. So I'm absolutely certain that I am going to be doing more of her designs in 2024. Maybe not a sweater immediately afterwards. However, I've noticed that what she tends to do in that particular booklet is she maybe has a sweater with particular colours, particular yarn, but then she follows that up with some accessories. So for the red cedar jumper that I've just started, she also has a pair of Melbu, like Celbu knittings, not Melbu. What's Melbu? Just say it wrong. Celbu mittens, colour work mittens, and I think there's also a hat with a similar design and similar colours, so I may go on to those after this. Otherwise, recently I've noticed that Lane are bringing out a book. You know how they've got 52 weeks of socks and 52 weeks of shawls and 52 weeks of this and that and next thing. I've noticed that they've got a book coming out, I think it's mid-February, 52 weeks of accessories. Now actually that's up my street, because to be honest with you, I knit more accessories and small things than I do big things like jumpers. It was really the whole podcast thing which has thrust me into the world of knitting jumpers, and I have to say I'm quite enjoying it. But for me, part of the knitting process is getting to the end of a product or an item and having something to say, I've done it. So I think I need those little kicks along the way as well, although the jumpers are fantastic when you can get them done. So 52 weeks of accessories by Lane. I think that's definitely in my future as a book, and I am sure there'll be things that I can knit from there. What I love to do with my knits, I don't really sell any of the things that I knit, not really. I tend to make them. I'm either making them for someone that I've determined in advance, or I knit something and then, I think I can give that to so-and-so because that would fit them, or that would suit them, or that's their aesthetic, or that's their whatever. So as far as 2024 is concerned, that's about all my plans at the moment. Who knows? There are many, many months ahead, and God willing, there'll be lots of stitches that we can rack up in the process. So as I round up today, just a reminder, have a look down below for all the details of all the things that I've been talking about. Make a comment, click a like on this video to enter into the little celebration prize giveaway thing, and then I've probably triggered off all the bots. Sorry about that. But put a comment down in the box to enter. Now I should at this point, because I've just given the game away, please note that when I do announce the winner of the celebration, you will hear it from this mouth and from this face on this screen. I won't be typing it anywhere, I won't be putting it in the comments or anything. So if the bots do come, please do just ignore them, because that is not the way that I will announce the winner of the celebration of the anniversary of the podcast here. All that detail will be down in the description below, so don't worry about that. But before we go today, it's time for your Gaelic phrase of the episode. And I can't remember if I've given you this one before, but it doesn't really matter, because what I want to give you the Gaelic for is the Gaelic for how to say thank you very much, everyone. And that comes from my heart to you for your journeying with me in this last year. But if you want to say that in Gaelic, you start by saying Moran Taing, that's many thanks, Moran Taing. And then to say everyone, you say Ahula Dunya, which literally means all the world. And in this case, it kind of means that because you're from all over the place. So if you want to say thank you everyone, you say Moran Taing Ahula Dunya. So Moran Taing Ahula Dunya. Bianach Diagut, agus Martian Lave and Rasta. Take care, God bless, and see you again soon.